Happy Friday, everyone. It is round 23, the penultimate weekend of AFL Fantasy. I like being able to use that word once a year. And I'm Warnie, coach of the Warnie Dogs, and this is Drew Jones. Hello?
Coach of Crab Fantasy.
Crab Fantasy, copping that drive-by. Wasn't even from Cow or I this week too. It's important to know that Crab Fantasy, well, you goat fantasy because of mountain goats, not because you think you're actually really good at fantasy football.
I never claimed to be the GOAT of fantasy, that's for sure. I am the GOAT of fantasy news.
Yes.
And that is the purpose of the podcast. So for anyone wondering, my top finish is 1,200, and that was about 3 years ago. But I'm not the GOAT by any stretch. I'm currently ranked 55 millionth in Australia.
You're inside the top.
And enjoying it.
You're inside the top 50K.
Yeah, that's right. I assume various ghost ships are going past me.
I'd actually like to see...
Maybe not this week with all the forced trades.
I would like to see the stats, though. How many people are ahead of you that haven't traded in the last 5 weeks or something like that? That'd be interesting to see. However, I don't think you could actually stay on board because of all the forced trades.
I don't think that I want to know.
We have a big week ahead of us as well because, we found out Sunday night that we were going to be without Nasiah Wanganeen Miller, so we had that one already locked in. And then last night, and we'll talk about the teams very soon, but we lost some more soldiers, unfortunately, and we don't have any Thursday night footy to talk about. Great W game, and hopefully everyone's got their teams in for that. If you haven't, it's only 2 games down and maybe not a heap of relevant players, so you've got plenty of opportunity to make teams. So go and get that happening, and you might actually get some enjoyment out of the rest of this AFLW season, which could be a nice thing. Anyway, let's get stuck in then. We go back to, it starts tonight. And it's an 8:10 start tonight here in the East because it is over in the West, so 6:10 over there. And that is Freo and the Adelaide Crows. Christopher Sciarri is in with Alex Pearce, and then we have McVee, and McVee's been omitted, but Murphy Reid apparently kicked a little bit of copped a kick to the groin, and so he is looking after the meat and potatoes there, and he will be out this week, so he's out injured. And then for the Crows, there's 6 changes there for them. Probably the most relevant thing there is that Lockie McAndrew is back in after Riley O'Brien scored a 90 last week. He's been omitted. We've lost those rookies that were in there, old Archie and Oscar, and then Billy Dowling has been omitted. Alex Neil-Bullen out with a personal reason, and Taylor Walker flew over, but he has been managed, so maybe keep an eye on any sort of late changes there with that tonight. Bulace, Fogarty, Saligo, Toby Murray and Nankervis are the ins with McAndrew. All right, what are we expected in this game here? Murphy Reid's obviously the big one that will be out, but you probably were happy that you were able to move him on anyway. He probably hasn't really been putting up the numbers that you have expected.
No, well, he's fallen away the last few weeks, hasn't he? He's had a tremendous season. I think he's played every game for my dynasty team this year, but he's not going to play in the prelim, obviously. And I would have dropped him anyway, I think, given the recent form, even if he was playing. So for the Murphy Reid believers, you're going to have to trade him out this week if you haven't already. But to be honest, is there much from this game that we really need to talk about?
You're not trading into anyone.
A close game. No, it's going to be a finals-like game. Dawson is extremely important in this match, but he's probably not going to score a big daddy ton. You're not VCing him. Luke Jackson, you're not VCing that. I think we just sit back and enjoy. As from a draft perspective, you wouldn't be streaming anyone necessarily from this game. It's just a bit of a nothing one. So just enjoy the footy, I think.
If you were looking for that forward, and based on his form and the role that he's been doing, Isaac Rankin, would you still be happy to do it, or is it just a little bit of a flag, the fact that it is against Freo?
Just think there's better options this week. For those of us who have Isaac Rankin, it's because you've traded into him ahead of that 2-game run, and you've got great value out of him. So you just hope that he pumps out a reasonable score tonight. I think Adelaide are a sneaky chance tonight, Warnie. I know Tex is out and stuff, but I just think the Crows have a lot more to play for here. Dockers are locked in top spot. The Crows probably need to win to stay inside the top 6 and to get that week off. I think the Crows are a chance.
Management's been the dirty word, obviously, the last few weeks and what we're seeing, and a couple of names to talk about today. But are we going to see this from, Freo's in that position where, well, I guess depending on the state of the game, but they've got top spot locked in, don't they? Or technically, not quite technically, but they should do. So are we going to see that like in these last quarters rather than a game managed because they'll have a week off because of wildcard? But do you think we'll just see some blokes sitting a little bit?
Yeah, like you could, if Freo have a good lead tonight, you might see, Cox ruck most of the last quarter. Yeah. You might see a Sarong or a Young or, whatever sit out guys I don't want to risk. I wouldn't be surprised next week if Luke Jackson doesn't play and Sean Darcy comes in, and has a full game in the ruck and they just freshen Luke up, give him sort of almost 2 weeks off. The AFL's sort of warning they put out about management is more about that Ross Lyon thing where he sort of changed 18 changes or whatever it was. I don't think the Dockers are going to flirt too much with what they're doing, but they've had players rest, here and there over the last sort of 6 weeks or so. So this game's probably a little different. It's against a fellow sort of top 6 team. But yeah, sure. If they get a big lead, don't be surprised to see guys sit.
Saturday, we've got an early start. It's 12:35 because we've got 2 games at the MCG. So Richmond and St Kilda are up first there, and Harry Armstrong's back in, so it's great to see him. And Luke Traynor, they've omitted Samson Ryan and Tyler Sonsi, whereas the Saints have 5 changes, and as we've known sort of throughout this week there, Nasiah, our most expensive defender, dropped 88k off the back of scoring 11 there. He's out with that hamstring, so he is missing these last few it will be, but these last 2 rounds of the fantasy season. Mason Wood hurt his calf, so that might be an interesting part of what they do with make-up of the team a little bit here as well. Caminiti's been omitted. Liam Ryan's been managed because he was a bit banged up last week as well, and Hunter Clark has also been managed. They've brought in, Toby Travalia and Alex Taru, which is interesting in itself, even Angus Hasty there as sort of defenders, Dan Butler, and Jack McRae comes in as well. So this is quite interesting because obviously the Saints is a team to target because of this Tigers matchup. And we do have Naz out, we do have Mason Wood out. And Brad Hill's high on the shopping list for some coaches, and coaches have been smart to grab him. He's got that beautiful TPP because you can grab him as a defender, a midfielder and a forward. And he is an option to be grabbing. Named on the half-forward flank, those ins... has anything run through your head about where he may line up and what might happen there with him?
I just think he's so well suited to that half-back role, which he's played. And since Sinclair went out and then without Naz, they need a distributor off half-back. Windhager does it a bit, but he's not a true distributor, so I just think he'll slots in at half-back. I don't think we need to overthink it. My guess would be that McRae probably takes Wood's wing.
Yep.
And they may not mess with the midfield rotation too much. McRae's been playing pretty well in the VFL. I don't mind him as a streamer this week if you're, say, like in your draft league, if you've lost Bontempelli and you don't have great centre backup, maybe McRae's a guy you could bring in for the Richmond matchup. But yeah, I love Max Hall this week. I know you guys have talked about him a lot. I think the thing with Max is, like, I've got him in 2 draft leagues, so I've sort of had a pretty close eye on him the whole year. But his recent form, it was awesome, but it was because, they had that really great fixture run. So it was kind of hard to know, is he going to maintain this or is this just a temporary bump? But I think we've seen the last couple of weeks that the role is good and he's in great form. So regardless of opposition, he's going to play well. But I just think this week could be massive for Hall. So I really like him as an in. And if you went Hill and Hall, I think that's a pretty good duo if you can afford it.
Definitely. TDK, have you done any Moorabbin work this week? He was banged up as well, shoulder, and I think he even caught one in the guts, in the ribs there as well. So at the moment, we think he's going to be there.
He's no he's not a guarantee. There's still a slight chance that he gets pulled out late. I get the sense with De Koning, as much as he always seems to get like banged up and injured in games, he really does want to front up the next week. Like he does want to play. So I give him credit for that. It appears that he is somewhat made of glass, but he's not afraid to get in there and get dirty. So, I think my view is that TDK will be pushing hard to play. The Saints will be conservative if they need to because they've got a 5-day break into the Suns matchup. That's a bigger challenge than Richmond. And Saints have to win both games. Like, there's still a world where they play in the wild card, right? So they need to be smart. But I think Marshall is still a hold this week. I think probably most of us don't have much of a choice if you have him. But there's no doubt De Koning's a bit sore, as a few are. Wilkie's sore, but he'll play. 6-day break into 5. There's a few moving parts for the Saints, no doubt.
Plenty of Saints that you can be picking, so make your choice wisely and hope that the big scores against the
I like
Tigers.
Wilson this week too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Wilson this week. If they give him some inside mids, because someone's got to play those Naz midfield clock, it could be Darcy.
Nice. All right, let's move to 3:45, so another different sort of time slot as well at Marvel Stadium, North Melbourne and Geelong. So no changes for the Roos. The Cats have lost Sam De Koning and Jack Martin has been managed. Mitch Edwards is in and Paddy Dangerfield is there as well. This one, the first thing that I thought of in this is going X. If you were looking for a ruck, if you had some form of luxury to shop in the ruck, he's the one because he's got the Geelong matchup, which is the huge one. So he should have a big day, but probably more to the point in this game is we're looking at almost tags. It's where we're going to see some things happen. You've got, obviously, Bailey Smith is the big dog in the midfield who's probably a fair chance to be VC for a lot of coaches, I think, this weekend being an early-ish game in the round. But, who does he cop? Does he cop something from a bit of Simpkin or a bit of Foz or whatever's going on there? And then on the flip side, Oisin Mullen, the best tagger in the game. What does he do? Is it a bit of Sheasel action like he's done before, or is it LDU off the back of the fact that he had an epic game last week?
Yeah, I don't have a read on this, unfortunately. Seeing what LDU did last week, if Chris Scott and the coaching staff are sitting there and they're looking at the impact, scoreboard impact, the tag is LDU.
Yeah.
Like he tore that game apart. He torched the Bulldogs last week. Sheasel is metronomic. He'll get his 35 touches if you let him run free, but there's no guarantee that he's going to tear you apart on the scoreboard. Incredible athlete, great skills and a thirst for the ball, but LDU is explosive. So if, I'm leaning towards an LDU tag for Mullen. I think it's still a risk, though, to invest, a VC or a C in Sheasel just in case. So I think because, 80% of teams have Sheasel, if not higher, let's just hope that he gets to run free and just does his thing. He scored 80 last time these teams met with Mullen tagging him, so he was still able to operate somewhat efficiently with the Irishman hanging off him. From a Baz perspective, I think, I don't have Bailey Smith. I'll probably try to trade him in next week. Mm-hmm. I think if you've got him, like this guy's got a huge ceiling, just use the VC because you've invested the money.
That's what it's there for.
That's right. And I think the VC options this week aren't super clear. There's no Thursday game. No. There's no Friday night VC. Like you could do a Max Hall or a Brad Hill or something a bit funky in that early game, but I think Baz sits there pretty comfortably as a VC. So I'm also going to caution against Tom Stewart this week. I love him as a trade option next week against the Tigers, but I'm not sure about going early on him. Like if there could be a Zach Banch or some sort of forward tag that goes to him, but I love him next week.
Yep. No, there's a few players that you could actually be thinking about that there with him, with what they might try to do, just nullify things there. And then on the other end of that is Colby McKerch. I think he's settled into that half-back slot, so people have been trying to get rid of him. You probably don't have the luxury to do it, but he's been pretty solid, I think, in the last couple. So you can roll with that, and probably doing enough for us to think about. Oh yeah, he'll be in the record next year as well as we talk him up. I think Calvin will be all over that, which we've seen from North this year, I suppose, is those. Halfbacks still are able to get points. It's a bit of a traditional thing at the Roos now with Parker. Caleb Daniels been solid enough too, like draft-wise. Those guys have been awesome. All right, let's move along. Brisbane and Gold Coast. So that then starts half an hour later from that one. That's a 4:15 start. That is the Q clash at the Gabba. So Brisbane, no changes for them, which means that Dane Zorko is all good after the drama of what that looked like last week. And then we've got the Suns omitting Zeke Uland and Jai Farrow's out with a personal reason. Coming back in, Sam Collins and Bo Adensall, one of those great draftees that loves his fantasy footy as well. So, yeah, let's talk Zorko. Are you ticking it off as an option? It was an interesting game to watch that last Friday night when he was probably one of those players that would be targeting anyway around now, being as cheap as he is. I think he's 888 actually on the dot, and you could be grabbing him anyway. But there's got to be that little bit of a flag in your head off the back of he went off with a hamstring, which looked like a hamstring. It turned out that it was probably a little bit of cramp or something that he named up, but it can't have been too bad because he actually dominated when he came back on and used the ball through him, even though he did still look a little bit rusty.
I think the longer the week has gone on, probably the less I've liked it. And maybe it's just because I've been listening to Roy talk up Ollie Florence so much.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like it is a risk. The fact that this has happened a couple of times in the Eagles game. Probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, he felt like something in his hamstring, and he sat out part of that game. So this is a repeat thing that's happening. His body just hasn't held up this year. He's had a quad, he's had a calf, he's had hamstring awareness. Like he's doing everything. But because it's Zorko, because it's a 2-week play, he dominates against Gold Coast. Like there's a lot of reasons to like it.
We can get away with 2 weeks. That's the thing. Can we get away with 2 weeks?
But there's no flag on Ollie Florent.
No.
There's no injury issues for him. There's no, and you could probably name 4 or 5 other options around that price who don't have any flag. But we just get seduced by the ceiling, and that's fair enough.
And the fact that he's 37 years of age as well. Would you go Matt Rao off that? Like, obviously, he scored that big 182, but I think, is it just the fact that you can go Dunkley may be doing something here on him?
Well, I don't know if it matters, to be honest. They might just be hugging each other all day.
Just racking up tackles.
I mean, if it's greasy, I assume it's going to be greasy. Kind of always is, isn't it?
Twilight game, yep.
Yeah, you can if you picture what this game's going to look like, it's going to be the lights are on. There's a bit of dew around. Yeah, it could be another big row game. I just think like you're buying into something that happened last week.
Yeah.
And Matt's been better the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah,
it's taken him a while to find his mojo. Interrupted, blah blah blah. If that price can stay a little lower, he's probably in the record next year, isn't he? But yeah, I just think if you're trading out Bontempelli and Naz this week, I don't think you need to go down to Rao.
No, that's right. Will Ashcroft would obviously be another nice upgrade. I think there's not really any reason why you wouldn't want to be going there. Or, he's in those sort of top 3. Like you do actually have those guys. Oh, well, she's is part of it too. But the midfielders as such with Nick and Baz and Will is in that conversation with those guys. So if you do have the cash to splurge, like that that's probably just a nice simple option to be going to. And then we better have another podcast talking about Christian Petrarca because people are going to have to hold him. So that's going to be the story of a lot of coaches' season where he's just going to roll there. He went a 50, then he went a 30. What are we going to see this week?
10. Well, see, my theory on this is that because now that everyone's had to hold him, he'll get a bad score. If everyone had traded him out this week, he would have played well. That's just the way fantasy works. So, yeah, maybe he gets injured this week. Like, that's kind of the last thing. In-game injury. Play 51% game time. score 25 and get him.
There's another chapter in the story to come, isn't there? That's exactly
Always.
what we'll see. All right, Hawthorn are playing Collingwood, 7:40 game at the MCG, so that's part of their doubleheader. Max Beattie is making his debut. He's 22-year-old, so maybe if you needed to, just for a heartbeat, if that helped. But I don't think anyone, honestly, is bringing in a rookie at the moment because you're shuffling deck chairs with premiums. Bailey McDonald's also back. Sam Butler's been omitted. Ned Rees has been omitted, meaning that they'll go in with the single ruck there in Meekie, which hopefully means good things for Darcy Cameron, or, well, not as bad as what it would be if he was up against dual rucks. Jordan De Goey's back in after his sore arse last week, and Scott Pendlebury's also in. Sullivan and Harrison have been omitted. All right, what are your eyes on in this one?
Only just, are you ticking off a Dacos captaincy here?
Yeah, I think he can. No, is anyone going to him? Well, I guess they will try to, but I think Nick's in such that position where it doesn't really matter now, especially if it's a bit player as such.
Calvin's made the point he hasn't scored over 120 for 6 weeks or something like that. So there hasn't been a big daddy. There's no Matthew Hayden versus Zimbabwe 3-8. They've all just been lowish tons. But I don't know if you saw. Did you see the vision from training yesterday?
No, I didn't. I missed this one. What did that look like?
Well, there was just multiple times where he was getting treatment. On sort of getting rubbed down, like sort of hip area, okay. I'm going to say.
Yep.
And that hip stuff that's been a thing for him previously. Yeah. It was just unusual, I think, because the multiple times stopping training and getting treatment, which is
right.
Yeah. We watch a lot of Collingwood train. That's just the nature of the business because they have open sessions all the time. And I've never seen him get that much treatment in a training session.
Did you watch what happened following into it though? Were they doing some man-on-man work and someone was getting close to him? Is that because Calvin also has that theory? As soon as someone goes near and he has that injury issue.
Well, remember, Warnie, I have the counter theory that he fakes the soreness to try and get his tag to ease off.
So 7 minutes on the pine then might mean that he's freed up for the rest of the game.
That's right. I don't think he misses.
No.
The games are too important for the Pies right now.
Maybe ceiling there, may not be there, especially if he does need to.
He might be carrying a little something.
Yeah. Like probably a few people are at the moment, I reckon. There's
True.
a bit going on.
Even you and me are.
Yeah, we are. I'm carrying all the wrong things at the moment. Right, Port Adelaide and Melbourne, they are playing. It's an 8:10 starter in the East, so that's 7:40 at Adelaide Oval. 4 changes for the Dockers with the Georgiades back in. Lockie Jones, Xavier Bammett, who was a laid out last week, and Joe Richards is coming back in as well. Lorenz, Moraes, Mead have been omitted, and DBJ, Burn Jones, has been suspended. So we've got that. No changes for the Ds. Now, the Richards one's coming back in is probably an interesting thing. I've probably selfishly, because I'm probably the only coach with him anyway, but that Bergman move that I've got there, that might be a slight little flag there. But the watch is probably still maybe in some way on Horn Francis because, that looked like could have been a bad knee injury, but then all cleared and he's all good to play this week by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, he spoke about it during the week and said that he thinks he's going to be good to go. He's been named, so they'll give him every chance. I can't offer much more feedback than that, other than have a look at Josh Money and Braden Ingram's X accounts because they'll have potentially some stuff from the captain's run. And to be honest, both of them, if they spread their wings beyond just Adelaide teams, I guess Aaron Bryans falls into this category as well.
Yeah.
They cover the Crows and Port Adelaide extremely well.
Definitely.
And they to be honest, they always seem to have the changes before they happen. So they've both done a great job for 9 and 7. And Aaron does a great job on the ABC. The coverage of the Adelaide teams is excellent. Yeah, it's really good. And Ryan in Perth sort of has he owns the reporting space a little bit, doesn't he? We don't see it as much with Fish in Brisbane. And maybe it's because he works for AFL Media, so he's a bit too close. But yeah, Melbourne's the biggest challenge, Warning. This is why.
Oh, right.
This role. That's why this role is so hard.
You've got 10 clubs.
It's hard. It's hard to sort of get around and do everything. Do we need a sell? Is that what we need? We need, you can come in and say, I've got 10 teams and speak about that. Is that what we need going in? Do we need a state by state? Does the award have a state winner for each state? You could give like the minor states award.
Yeah. Just.
But no,
you're the big daddy.
A long story short, Horn Francis, if he's out, you'll find out via Josh or Braden, I think.
Yep. All right. So just a watch on that one as well. But then again, a lot of people may have even moved him on when he was suspended a couple of weeks ago. So that could have been where that's it. But you're probably not trading into him either, just on the fact that he did. Have that.
No, I don't think you're trading into Bergman, and I'm not sure you should go Burgoyne either, just because. So Butters might come back next week.
Where do you reckon that's sitting? Like, my gut feel is no. But, geez, he's probably determined just to have a last game. But it's not even like it's a home game to finish for him.
No, he's playing in front of friends and family and maybe future employers.
Yeah,
I mean...
So you're a no on Burgoyne then?
Just with Richards back and the prospect of Butters next week, it's not like he's a bargain, like he's 910K. I love him as an option next year. If we expect Butters is gone, right? I love a big watch on Jace Burgoyne through the preseason next year to see if he's playing midfield time.
And just a little shout out to Anastasopoulos. How was that?
Nice.
Calvin's got him playing this week because that's where he's at with his team. So he will be taking whatever score he gets. But
he scored more than Durham last week anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Let's move to Sunday. These are extended squads, so we don't have final teams. However, there's a bit of news there. The Giants have lost O'Halloran and Laverde to injury. They have brought in Stone, McMullen, Riccardi, Angove, and Jack Owl. And the Eagles, no outs yet, but Schoenberg, Flynn, and Davis are into the squad. This is probably a little bit of an irrelevant game. Are you happy just to go into Whitfield if you don't have him? Is the Milan Murdoch tag a thing to flag, to worry about? Where do you sit with that one?
You just can't trade into Whitfield.
No.
And we just have to hope that Milan doesn't do as good a job as he did last time, because
that was nuts. That was day one of that too, wasn't it? Like, that was the first time we sort of saw Murdoch go and do that.
Yeah. And he did an amazing job. Whitfield ended up giving away a 50-minute penalty.
That's right, yeah.
Gifting him a goal. And, it was a shocking day for Lockie. But, I'm not sure that it'll play out quite the same way.
Yeah.
And I think GWS will have a bit of a point to prove against the Eagles on Sunday, given the win that the Eagles had against them earlier in the season. I don't think that plays out quite the same. But
do we call this game almost a dead rubber as well in the scheme of things?
Yeah, I guess GWS is still mathematically in the hunt, but I don't think so.
It's got that feel to it a bit anyway, doesn't it?
It does have that sort of Sunday, circle work kind of vibe to it, doesn't it?
Oh, they could
rack. Good for Lockie. It's good for Ash, good for Whitfield, good for everyone.
All right, let's look at the Bulldogs and Carlton. So this one probably won't be too bad, but the big news out of this game is, of course, that Bont has been managed. So after probably some talking earlier in the day, you didn't think that was going to happen, and then they'd go and name that up that evening. So Bont is out managed. Caulfield's been omitted. Tim English, that knee as well for him, so he is out there, hurting a few draft teams like mine in my keeper, which hurts. So that's been a really frustrating own this year, when I thought I was so set up by having English, especially at the start of the year. I thought he's going to be the top scoring ruck, and it's been anything but that. Lockie McNeil, Bustlinger, Emmett, Baker and Kennedy are in, as well as Lockie Carmichael, who was in the record in this preseason because he averaged 109 in the Talent League last year, and we were thinking new beauty, and then we've got to this far and go, we've got a basement price player next year. Not anymore. So that's what's going to happen. Averaging 74 or so for Footscray at the moment. So, looking forward to seeing him, but sucks for us for next year because he would have been a nice, easy bench slot for us to have. The Blues haven't got rid of anyone yet, but Boyd and Ison are into the squad with Wiedering, of course, going to be playing, you would think, there because he's in. So, yeah, Bont's the biggest issue, isn't he? So, it's management. He's probably been sore for 3 months, but is it a 1 week freshen up?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a 1 weekie. At the moment, I'm holding Bont, but yeah, this was a bit of a shock, a bit of a surprise. So when I went to the press conference yesterday with Luke, I thought to myself, I'll ask the rest question.
Yeah.
And he said there's merit in it, but it won't be this week.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to a couple of people at the club, and they were sort of saying, "Oh, this is the big game. If we can beat Carlton, then they can't go past us."
Yeah, right.
And which meant that you were essentially almost guaranteed to play Collingwood in the wild card. So knock off Carlton, then you can think about next week about, do we rest Bonds and give him a week off? Do we rest Norton? Like, there was a possibility you could kick that can down the road by 1 week. So it was a real surprise to see him named managed when the team's dropped. And so I'll put my hand up and say, I was wrong. But coaches lie. Also, he could have pulled up sore after training potentially.
Yeah.
And things might have changed in the afternoon. So I guess the question is, Warnie, so I've got Durham as well.
Yeah.
So my preference is to move and use Fitzmagic off the bench in place of Bontempelli.
It's probably the simple sort of thing for a lot of coaches with, I guess, these problems. If you've got 3 players, your third one, it's essentially who you've got more trust in the bench coming on for him, isn't it? That's the basics of it.
Do you think, what's the move from Bontempelli? Is it just, as simple as Goulden, do you think?
Yeah, that'd be the nice one. I think he's got to be close to the number 1 target, to be honest. We might talk about that in a minute because that's the next game. But, the Swans have been doing some resting, but he is the one that's in form, the one that I think everyone would like to have. And the Swans' last couple of games is bloody awesome. So that's where the basics of it would be for me, I think, of just going that simple move there. The worst thing is Bont hasn't been that good, and so his price is down a fair bit. Like I had a little tongue-in-cheek sook too on the pod last night saying I was initially going to be trading out Tim Taranto, the luxury trade, as if I had a luxury trade to do that. But now, because it has to be Bont, I can't get my 2 preferred players in. I'm like 7K short of that, and that's sort of showing that, Taranto was worth more than Bont, which is pretty crazy to be thinking about. So
what's the second player of your preferred?
So essentially I was looking at Brad Hill and Errol, and so now it's just going to be Zorko, I think, which I don't love. But then again, I probably didn't love Hill that much either. So that's the thing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of, God, who cares at the moment? It's a tricky one. I don't think it's going to rack my brain too much, but I think I'll just go the simplicity of that.
If it was round 4, then yes, it would be worth stressing about. But with 2 weeks to go, with no hat on the line, just roll out 2 blokes you want to watch, I guess.
Yep. So otherwise, in that game, I reckon we're just we're rocking and rolling what we're doing. I'm going to have a bit of a watch on my man Jagger. I'd like to see if he can get himself into the votes, and it's very close in the cash cow of the year. 3 votes between them. So him and Lockie McAndrew, that is. But in a way, we've loved what Jagger's done, and for a lot of coaches like myself, he's actually been a keeper for the whole season and will be all the way through, which is pretty amazing. But the other side of that too, Lockie McAndrew, I don't know if there's been a more important player than what he really was for structure and all of that. And again, those coaches that through choice or through necessity held him through kind of the buys where you traditionally was trading him out, he's been epic, and when our rucks haven't been exactly what we've been thinking. So that's going to be an interesting watch in this one as well.
So where do you sit on Florent? 750K.
So obviously Roy is all in on it. This is the thing for me. I don't know if I'm just such a weird cat that I'm just looking in the price of the shopping range. Like, there's got to be a world where in this too, he's 130K cheaper than Zorko. Like maybe you're looking at that, and I know I'm just kind of going, what's the point of holding any money or anything like that now as well? But yeah, he's been good.
Yeah, he has been good. I'm playing him in a prelim this weekend in draft, so I don't know if I could trade into that and cheer it on when I'm going against it. But yeah, he's been good. Obviously, the Bulldogs matchup is what you're trading into.
Freo next week is the trickier thing. Like it's not like he's got two juicy ones, but
sucks.
Yeah, it's probably the other thing that in my head too is the ceiling there. He might be a nice solid ton if that's where he gets to or whatever, but whereas we all know what Zorko could actually do on his day, and that's probably the difference with that, and might be worth that 130k or whatever you are doing. Yep, last game of the round. Let's just get this one over and done with. The bloody Bombers up against the Swans, so we might see a fair bit going on here. So Durham was out. It was soreness they've named it up as, so that's probably a 1 week thing, but yeah, who knows? Zach Johnson has been omitted into the squad. My man Blackie probably trying to ruin a loop there that I could be using him for. Harry Jones, Nick Bryan, Sardis and Clark, but I'm not sure if Bryan and Blackiston are both back into the one team, so wait till those 5 o'clock teams for this one. Lewis Melican has been omitted. Coming in is Brodie Grundy after being out last week, looked after there. Rampy, Cleary and Sheldrick are into the squad. So this is the juicy matchup that I think a lot of coaches are looking at, and the obvious ones are Errol. Some people probably still even thinking that Heaney might be one of those, but you know they did have all of those little rests last week in the last quarter. Is that something they might just keep rolling out for these next couple with the older guys? And then like Errol, does he get into that mix? He's played, only played a third of the season as such. Is that still enough just to give him a bit of a spell? But, they're not playing wild cards, so therefore, they've got their week off there. It's such a what-if type thing, but we all know they're going to thump the Bombers and points should be there. So other players that you might be looking at too, like the Lizard, I think a few coaches have gone there. I think he's actually got quite a high projection on the fantasy projected scores. So could you do Lizard?
Absolutely. Yeah, I could still go Lizard instead of Zorko. What have Swans got next week? Is it a relatively
North Melbourne?
It
is, yeah.
North, okay. Yeah, look, I love Lizard. Yeah. Now, depends if it's probably not quite the same, but similar to Florent in terms of we've never seen like the really high ceiling. And I think he might be slightly better scorer in the other game, Warnie. But yeah, I mean, targeting this matchup makes perfect sense. If you already have Goulden, then Heaney's a play. If you haven't got Warner, then you'd want to get him in this week. If you want to have a Swan on every line, then sure, Blakey's an option down back to come in for Naz. It would free up a lot of cash to do something at the other end, almost 200,000. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go with this matchup, but it's probably it's a potential streamer matchup as well when you're looking at can you find a Swan just to play for the week. Like I'm having to play Matt Roberts this week because of Darcy Byrne-Jones being suspended.
Riley Bice having back there.
Yeah, Bice as well. Like I think Matty Roberts projected as like 80 or something, which is not great, but it's, you never know. Like he kick a couple of goals and takes 8 marks. All of a sudden he's got a ton. So yeah, just feast on the Bombers this week.
Be a fun way to finish the round. Although we keep talking about the good close games usually to finish the round. I'm not sure that this one will be with the Bombers.
If you have Goulden this week, right, it's you're going to watch Essendon. Yeah. So get Goulden, and then either way you're okay.
Is there any worry about you putting whacking the C on him if your VC failed?
Oh, I love it. I mean, we've seen Goulden. Like earlier in the season, he scored like a good 100 when he got injured at 3/4 time, basically. So even if they do rest him in the last quarter, Goulden might already have 120.
Yep. Just got to do it.
Yeah,
just got to do it. Awesome. All right, Drew. Thanks, mate. I hope the Crabs are going all right this week. What are your decisions at the moment? Do you reckon you're holding the bond? So that will be obviously Naz out.
Yeah, Naz to like a Zorko or Blakey, which allows me enough cash to get Durham up to Max Hall.
Yep, that's exciting.
So I think that's the most likely move. Hold Bont. hold your premiums, Warnie.
It could be. It'll be unique for you next week if that
right.
might be the thing that could propel you inside the top 40K next week, holding Bont. So,
see, I've done some stuff over the last week purely for content, and it's hurt the overall rank. Like I could have probably straight batted my way into the a few thousand spots up into the mid-30s or whatever, but I've just Dan Curtin and row bottom and all this silly stuff. Content.
Anyway, thanks, Joey. Go and follow everything at Goat Fantasy News. Sorry, I better add that on to the end so that you can be...
only 1 week to go.
Only 1 week to go. Yeah, you're probably already following by now. And we'll see what that is. And then next week will be it. This penultimate round. Actually, can you use the word penultimate on AFL Tonight?
I'll use it tonight. Yeah,
right, excellent. Right, there you go.
I used it last night too.
Did you? Right, of course. I think it's just you just know that you're doing that at round 23, aren't you? It has to be wheeled out. It's probably in the charter somewhere. Anyway, thanks, Joey. Appreciate your time, mate, and good luck this week. Let's continue that charge up the ranks.
Mate.